I feel sorry to the fan because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Sir, Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
Now, right now in the sport, that's supposed to be the man. Big man wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, all right, what's gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao mocked Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford. Say he feels bad for fans who deserve better than this matchup. According to Pacquiao, the fight would be dull and nothing more than an exhibition. He reminded everyone that Mayweather has been retired for years, hasn't had a serious fight in a long time, and that the idea is ultimately meaningless.
The fight's boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us. As a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like sitting fight, not a fashion show.
Manny Pacquiao did not hold back when addressing Floyd Mayweather's latest moves. He expressed genuine pity for the retired champion, claiming Mayweather's focus has shifted almost entirely toward financial gain rather than the spirit of competition. Pacquiao argued that any potential return to the ring, especially a showdown with Terence Crawford, would have nothing to do with legacy or the love of boxing, but everything to do with squeezing profit out of exhibition bouts. He went further, criticizing such events as hollow displays that strip the sport of its true essence. For Pacquiao, boxing should be about warriors battling with pride and honor, not fighters parading into the ring like models on a runway.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think he's got the material things, the money, and everything like that. I'm pretty with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believes God.
Yeah, I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him.
Yeah.
I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The announcement of Floyd Mayweather facing Mike Tyson in 2026 sent shockwaves through the boxing community. While the news grabbed global headlines, analysts were quick to note that the matchup is less about two fighters competing at their prime and more about generating massive revenue. Marketed as a warm-up for Mayweather ahead of potential clash with Terence Crawford later the same year, the fight is expected to deliver huge pay-per-view numbers. Observers argue both events are driven primarily by financial motives rather than sporting merit. With Tyson's legendary status and Mayweather's global brand power, the spectacle will inevitably command worldwide media attention despite its limited competitive value.
For Jake and Tyson, and some people like the likes of Carl Froch view that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is, and the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules. Exhibition, non-exhibition, weight. Here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out. The fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to pull the public, and then make an adjustment.
You don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. there's zero after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul. I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has often voiced deep respect for Manny Pacquiao, calling his career one of a kind in boxing history. He highlighted how Pacquiao captured titles across multiple weight divisions, frequently defeating larger opponents and defying the odds. According to Crawford, Pacquiao's achievements are not only historic, but nearly impossible to replicate. He believes Manny reached greatness in a unique era by embracing challenges that few, if any, other fighters would have ever dared to attempt.
Man, a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
The prospect of Terence Crawford facing David Benavidez has quickly become a hot topic among fans. Benavidez is considered one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing today, with his size, youth, and relentless aggression making him a formidable challenge. Many believe such a matchup would push Crawford further than any opponent he has faced before. However, with no official confirmation, the idea remains speculation. Still, the buzz reflects fans' desire for meaningful, high-stakes battles rather than exhibitions or celebrity-driven spectacles.
World, not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, when he took on, defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had one fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handedly and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Crawford, and that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm. He started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Trainer Greg Hackett spoke with great admiration while reflecting on Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. He described Canelo as the shark of boxing, a symbol of dominance who had ruled the sport for years with unmatched power and skill. For Hackett, the fact that Crawford not only stepped into the ring with Canelo but dismantled him marks a dramatic shift in boxing's balance of power. Defeating a fighter once considered untouchable, Hackett argued, elevates Crawford to the role of a new predator, the man every contender must now fear. His remarks also raised a deeper question about the sport's future. If Crawford could conquer the toughest fighter of his generation, who remains that can truly test him? Fans are now left debating whether Crawford will pursue more challenges or walk away at the very peak of his dominance.
Because you gotta remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, I mean, like, all right, also a fight. You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Man, like, I mean, ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there. But who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
Shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark, you be the wolf, but there's the monster.
Yeah, it's like a little monster.
Bro, to me it don't make sense. But That's what it was. Yo, is that proof? All right, you got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a lot of seats, Brooks Brothers. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of shit. Get the easy way. You ain't gotta sweat. Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. He's paved a career where he can sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch. Nobody. The fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's because when a guy see himself up here and is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he's not gonna really train. He's gonna train, but he's not gonna train. He's not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious. And he's like, man, we ain't listening to that. But your coach like, listen, you get fucked up. I'm telling you. You don't want to listen. Did you go in there and fight that guy? I seen it happen.
Analysts overwhelmingly agree that Terence Crawford's dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez stands as a defining moment of his career, one that silenced any remaining doubts about his place in boxing history. Prior to this fight, Crawford had already earned widespread respect, particularly after dismantling Errol Spence in a performance that demonstrated total control and erased questions about the quality of his opposition. Yet defeating Canelo carried a far deeper significance. For years, Canelo was regarded as one of boxing's most formidable pound-for-pound champions, a fighter who thrived across multiple divisions and consistently overcame bigger, stronger opponents. Crawford didn't just rise to that challenge. He dismantled Canelo in a fashion few believed possible. In doing so, he proved that his brilliance transcends weight classes, styles, and circumstances. His adaptability, technical precision, and mental resilience were on full display at the sport's highest level. As a result, most observers now view Crawford as a rare fighter who has not only faced, but conquered every challenge placed before him.
Matchup between Prime Mayweather and Prime Crawford, I've tended to lean slightly towards Mayweather. But after that performance there against Canelo, not just the fact he won, the manner in which he won, I've changed my mind. I would now lean towards Prime Crawford over Mayweather. The reason I say this is because of the expert way in which Terence Crawford mixed offensive in the pocket boxing with defensive on the move boxing. Not running, save for maybe a round or two. No, just moving nicely. Because if there's one area of Floyd Mayweather's game that was underdeveloped, it's his front foot game. Whenever Mayweather was forced to walk an opponent down, what he did was actually very basic. He would hold his hands up and he would walk forward throwing straight right hands. Okay, they were accurate straight right hands. They were well-timed straight right hands. But there wasn't a whole heap of head movement. There wasn't a whole heap of creative or dynamic footwork, coming forward, walking somebody down. No, it was very, very basic stuff. And I don't think an approach that basic would have worked against, let's say, a Tommy Hearns, who's 6'1", 6'2", 78-inch reach, massive puncher, good hand speed. So I always thought that a prime Tommy Hearns would beat prime Mayweather, because I can't see Mayweather doing what Ray Leonard did, grabbing the ball by the horns and taking it to Tommy Hearns. I can't see him doing that, and if he did try and do it, he's going to get clipped. Tommy Hearns hit so hard, that guard for Mayweather wouldn't be enough in my opinion. And I never saw Mayweather on the front foot moving his head a lot. When he's in the middle of the ring or in the back foot when he's being defensive, yeah, that's when he moves his head. The famous Philly shell defense, the shoulder roll and all that. Coming forward, no, it's a lot more basic. But watch Mayweather's old fights, you'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever he's forced to come forward, it's basic stuff. And so, after watching Crawford's performance against Canelo, I got to think, maybe Crawford employs similar tactics if he fights a prime Mayweather.
With his list of accomplishments continuing to grow, Terence Crawford now stands at a pivotal crossroads. Fans are eager to see him pursue new challenges against names like David Benavidez, Jermall Charlo, or other top contenders. However, at 37, retirement remains a very real option, as Crawford has little left to prove and could choose to walk away while still at his peak. This uncertainty leaves fans divided, worried the sport could lose one of its last active greats during a time when boxing badly needs marquee fights.
Now the Sheik said, deliver the job, Terence Crawford. The finest thing shall be.
Saturday, deliver the job.
Y'all missed the most important part. It's when he said, don't retire.
Don't retire.
This is what you guys are missing. Turkey on a Sheik was trying to say, return the favor.
You want job ain't done yet. Yeah.
Bud interrupted him by saying the job ain't done, which prompted Turkey on a Sheik to say, yeah, deliver the job. But that's not what he was on. He was on the first part, return the favor. But Turkey, in a second thought, he goes back to Bud and he says, and don't retire.
Don't retire.
That's what Turkey meant when he was trying to say, return the favor. I did this for you, got this big fight, but don't retire. Return the favor.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned next time